may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Alright guys, let's go right back to the videos that I know y'all do not like, but here I think that these videos are the most important videos we can make, and that these are the players to avoid putting in your starting lineup in week 10. Obviously, I'm not going to be talking about random bums like Jakeem Grant. No, we're going to be trying to focus in on some players that people are actually planning on starting right now, and I'm going to try to make my best case on why you should rethink that decision and why you should try to look elsewhere. But guys, I want to remind y'all, every single video now, we are going and trying to answer as many of your questions as possible. And now we are getting to the point of the week where we are actually going to be able to just start making entire videos based on your questions. And that is going to be done through Instagram and Twitter. Hopefully, I'll remember to put them on the screen. Just go follow us there. Y'all know that for whatever reason, YouTube still does not want to allow us to do stories, so I can't use that function on YouTube. We are using it on Instagram though, where I'll put a picture on my story and say, hey, swipe up with a screenshot of your roster, swipe up with a last minute trade question, swipe up with a last minute start sit question, and every single video that we're going to make the rest of the week is going to be centered around those questions that y'all send me. And yeah, that's all I got. Let's get into this particular video, and let's start it off with Giovanni Bernard. Okay guys, now y'all know, whenever we first saw that Joe Mixon injury, I was begging y'all to put Gio in as many of your starting lineups as possible. We did that for the last 2 weeks without Joe Mixon, and it really worked out great for us. I mean, Giovanni Bernard was a top 12 running back each week. We had great calls with those current situations. But now when we are looking at Giovanni Bernard in week 10, I want to kind of just put a little bit of water on the fire. I'm not looking at Giovanni Bernard being anywhere near what we had initially projected for him in those past 2 matchups, and this is for a couple reasons. One, we know Gio is going up against the best run defense in the entire NFL against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And secondly, what we saw last week was extremely disappointing for Giovanni Bernard, where we actually got Samaje Perine getting some touches in this backfield, particularly near the goal line. Now guys, our entire thesis behind wanting to play Giovanni Bernard in weeks 7 and weeks 8 were that he actually was going to see every single touch in this backfield. And yes, that held true for week 7. But in week 8, after seeing Samaje Perine come in and have a role, not only having a role, but having a role on the important area of the football field, which is near the goal line, that's really wanting me to get off of Giovanni Bernard where I can this week. All right, now our next running back, someone that I desperately tried to get y'all to buy on the low about 3 weeks ago, James Robinson. So yes, James Robinson actually had a very impressive week last week with Jake under center, but still, at the end of the day, I think that Jake is going to be a clear downgrade from Gardner Minshew and what we were going to be expecting for this entire offense. Now guys, y'all know this is coming from someone who did not like Gardner Minshew at all. I mean, there has never been a point that I've ever invested into Gardner Minshew, but still, at the same time, we have to just look at his overall NFL career with his overall numbers and try to compare that to a 6th round rookie coming in this year. And I promise y'all guys, Gardner Minshew is a better quarterback. I know some people kind of wanted to push back on that statement in the last video by telling me, oh, look up his college highlights, blah, blah, blah. Guys, if you are looking up highlights to determine what you think of a player, you're just wasting your time. You're wasting your time. You're not really doing anything to help your fantasy football team. Highlights can look any way that you want them to. Please make that the last thing you're doing in your evaluation. But right now, when we are looking at James Robinson, the main problem I have with his current situation is we actually have the Jacksonville Jaguars as 14-point underdogs, according to Vegas, to the Green Bay Packers. And we know that since this game is projected to get out of hand, we are actually going to have Chris Thompson projected to get a good amount of usage, because every single time that we end up seeing the Jacksonville Jaguars go down 2 scores, instead of using James Robinson as their bell cow running back, they actually transition over to using Chris Thompson a lot more in their game plan. I'm expecting that in week 10. Trust me, I don't want to see it. I think that James Robinson is one of the most talented running backs in the NFL. Absolutely incredible that the Jacksonville Jaguars got him as an undrafted free agent. Still, I think that with James Robinson, this is not going to be the matchup we want to play him in. I think that we want to wait until we are going to have closer projected games for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, so now our next player, Zach Moss. So with Zach Moss, guys, don't get mad at me here. Y'all know I was a little bit early to the party on Zach Moss, where I was begging y'all to go out there and actually trade away Devin Singletary when Devin Singletary was having that full workload, because we knew Zach Moss was going to come in. Zach Moss was going to get a significant amount of touches, and what we saw this past week from Zach Moss is it looks like he could very easily be the running back one in Buffalo currently. I mean, logging 9 carries, 2 receptions, out snapping Devin Singletary at the same time, and actually providing us a decent amount of production because he did get that goal line usage. But now we are trying to project him going into Arizona, and right now I think that this game is going to be incredibly high-paced for the Arizona Cardinals and the Josh Allen-led Buffalo Bills, which is a great game environment for fantasy points to be scored at all positions. But I really want to kind of just throw some caution in here with Zach Moss, because right now we are actually seeing Devin Singletary still see about half of the snaps for the Buffalo Bills. And with Zach Moss, he's not getting enough targets out of the backfield for him to really be a part-time player. We also know that you cannot necessarily rely on that touchdown in Buffalo every single week, because Josh Allen has been known to go in there and vulture those away. So everything that we're looking at Zach Moss right now makes me think that he is a great long-term running back to have on our teams. In case we have anything happen to Devin Singletary, Zach Moss could vault up to being a high-end running back 2, low-end running back 1. But right now, where he's getting half of the usage, we know that Josh Allen is going to vulture some touchdowns, and we don't expect the Buffalo Bills to be very run-happy this game. I think that we are going to be trying to avoid Zach Moss where we can. Okay, so now a very easy player to avoid, in my opinion, Darrel Henderson. So guys, y'all know with Darrel Henderson, I've kind of been on this Cam Akers train, saying that Cam Akers is going to come in and he is going to take usage away from Darrel Henderson to the point where we want to be selling. And guys, I am still 100% standing by that. I still believe that Cam Akers is a much more talented running back if you look at his entire career at Florida State. If you looked at where he was ranked coming out of high school compared to what we were seeing with Darrel Henderson. I know at Memphis, we actually just saw Darrel Henderson break all-time efficiency records, but still, I think that if we just look at the pedigree of these players and their NFL Combine experiences, we can just kind of assume that Cam Akers is the more talented running back. And with Darrel Henderson, the problem here is not only the matchup where we know that we are actually going to end up seeing the Los Angeles Rams be forced to air the ball out because they're going up against the Russell Wilson-led Seahawks. The Seahawks are going to put points up on the board. The Seahawks have a very bad secondary where we are actually going to see Jared Goff try to get those pass attempts up this game. What I am worried about with Henderson is not only Cam Akers, but also the fact that he gets no usage on third downs whatsoever. That's going to severely limit his overall target potential. And we know that in this matchup, we need running backs that are going to be willing to catch the ball. Okay, so now our last running back, I just want to bring him up because Devontae Freeman re-aggravated that ankle injury, but Wayne Gallman. Guys, with Wayne Gallman, even if we have no Devontae Freeman this game, I am not going to be excited to plug in Wayne Gallman into our starting lineups because the Philadelphia Eagles actually have a decent run defense. And on top of that, what's the most demoralizing thing that we can see with this Wayne Gallman situation is we actually saw Alfred Morris getting usage in this backfield this past week. So with Wayne Gallman, even if Devontae Freeman is going to be out, we are not going to be expecting him to get a bell cow type usage. And without that elite level usage, clearly we cannot plug in Wayne Gallman into our starting lineups because he's going to have no efficiency whatsoever based on the fact that this is a very bad New York Giants offensive line, based on the fact that Wayne Gallman is a very bad running back. So guys, it's clear for me now that Alfred Morris is getting some usage in this offense. Wayne Gallman is going straight to our benches, and honestly, I would not even mind if you just flat out cut him. All right, guys, and now it's time to get to the part of the video where we are going to go over our listener question that we got from our last video on YouTube. Guys, remember, go down, leave your comments in the comment section below. Leave your questions in the comment section below. And for the next video, I'm going to be going down there, giving one of y'all a shout out, covering your question, trying to give you a good in-depth answer. And the question that we got from this video was Jacob Bird. Thank you so much, man, for your support on the show. And your question is, if you were going to put together a package and go all in for running back one, would you choose Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, or Dalvin Cook? And man, I really hate to just give this answer a little bit more time than most people would expect, but it's going to be dependent on your team situation. If you are currently in a situation where maybe you're sitting at 5-4, 4-5, 3-6, and you need wins right now, you cannot hold out for the fantasy football playoffs. In that scenario, we are actually going to be trying to trade for Alvin Kamara, because Alvin Kamara is going to be able to provide us that elite level running back one upside every single week for the rest of the season. But if we are currently a team that's maybe 7-2, 6-3, and it looks like we can't afford to go without this running back until the fantasy football playoffs, in that case, I'm going to be going with Christian McCaffrey, because with McCaffrey, you're actually going to be getting a big discount based on that injury, where you're not going to have to pay nearly the cost it would take to acquire either Alvin Kamara or Dalvin Cook. And if you don't need that production right now, that makes so much sense for you. Okay, but thank you guys. I really hope you all enjoyed this video. I really hope you all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, please make sure you go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps us out. And I hope I'll see y'all in the live stream on Saturday night.